My hairbrush. Okay. We're live here at Precalculus, Frederick Community College, summer 2014. And what we're going to do today is talk about our first test. And so, uh, before I jump into my spiel, let me ask you, first, you, Samantha, any questions you have about the test?
So far, not really. It seems like what I'm having trouble on is in the homework portion where they're asking you to graph things.
And let me tell you I'm glad you say that. When it's all said and done, I'm going to remove all those graphing problems,
Okay.
because I do not like Wally Plus's graphing utility. But I wanted to assign those problems because I wanted you to be ready for, you're going to have to do graphing problems on the test. And I'll tell you
Oh,
exactly what you're going to have to do. But because of that graphing utility, I agree. Sometimes I get them wrong on there, but just because it tries to make you be so specific and it's hard to be on there. So I will remove those problems, okay? And hopefully maybe after I go over my little spiel here, I'll inspire a few questions for you. How about you, Taylor? Off the bat, you got anything you want to ask or
Not really. I just,
hear me go and then see if you have questions along the way?
yeah, that works.
Okay, cool. Let's do it then. So, first thing here, we have the first thing you need to know about the test is no calculator. All right? No calculator on the test. It is the test. There's not going to be anything, any multiplication or division or anything on there that's going to be more difficult than a fifth grader as far as dealing with numbers. So the numbers will be simple. I just want to make sure that you can that you can grasp the quadratics on your own. Any questions about that? No calculators. Any problems with that? Good? Okay. Second here, complete the square. Dealing with quadratics. Make sure that you come into this test and you know how to complete the square. You'll have to complete the square on a quadratic to put in that vertex form that you had to in homework, and you will have to complete the square to put a circle in standard form. And when you put a circle in standard form, you have to complete the square twice. So you definitely have to, that'll be the first couple questions on your test will be dealing with quadratics and a circle, and you will have to complete the square. Any questions about that?
no.
And Samantha, have you completed the square?
Yeah.
You feel good about it?
I think
Taylor?
so.
How about you, Taylor?
It's a little confusing, but I'll get it.
Okay, make sure, and that's going to be on the video when you go in and look at our videos. Have you been watching the videos?
Yes.
Samantha, have you been taking advantage of the videos?
I'm almost all the way through. The first unit, there's a lot of videos.
Yes, there are. Yep. Okay, good. So you guys know where the videos at. You're watching them. So for this, it's going to be the videos titled quadratics, and then I think distance for the circles. I think that's in the distance. I can't remember the exact name of the videos, but in they're right next to each other. So make sure you look at those. Number 3, composition of functions. Make sure that you can take one function and stick it into another. That's on the test. Okay, there's a question where you have to take a function, stick it into another function, get an output. Everybody familiar with composition of functions?
Yes.
Okay, and make sure that really what I'm telling you right now is the videos you need to review. You need to review the quadratic videos and the video that has the circles in it for this number 1. Number 3, you need to review the composition of functions video. Number 4, inverse functions. Make sure that you review the video for inverse functions and know the deal between the domain and the range of a function, and then the domain and range of the relationship between the domain and range of a function versus the relationship that it has with the domain and range of the inverse function. Did I say that clear? Sound clear? Is that okay? Any question about that?
Nope.
Alrighty. Okay. Number 5, polynomial division. Make sure you can divide two polynomials. That's going to be in the videos titled Rational Functions. Look over those. It'll be very simple. Some of those in your homework was very difficult, but this one will be a very simple one. I won't make you do the algorithm no more than 2 times. Make sure you can divide polynomials. Again, that's in the rational functions. And when I say there that nothing's going to be, some of those in your homework were hard, but that in the sense that it made you do the algorithm a bunch. Let me just say, in general, the entire test is going to be really the simpler version of all the questions. We don't have time to ask you really challenging questions. So whereas the homework can be very challenging, and you have lots of time to do it, so I don't worry about that. Okay. But when it comes to the test, I stay very basic, very simple for the test. So we're on polynomial division. Any questions there? That's going again. That is going to be in your rational functions videos, and if you will watch those, you will get it.
The only thing I have a question about is that whenever I try to submit an answer, I'll have it right, but it's not like, doesn't have like extra parentheses or like, it's just little stupid things that make it wrong.
Stupid. Sometimes I mean, sometimes like there's a difference between a lowercase a or an uppercase a, or sometimes you might they might require parentheses. But also, Wally Plus is sometimes it does make mistakes. So when you think you have a correct answer that you've entered, and it tells you that you've entered it wrong, all you gotta do is email me or post it, or preferably post it onto our community on Google Plus, and just say, hey, will you look at this one for me? I think I got it right, and it might have counted me wrong, because remember, these programs are created by men and women, and men and women make mistakes.
Okay.
So anytime you think that, so anytime during the summer, during this next 6 weeks now, it's an 8-week course. This is getting toward the end of our 2nd week. Anytime throughout the summer where you think you got one right that Wally Plus counted wrong, just email me. I will look on there, and if you are correct, and I can see all 5 of your responses. So just let me know, and I will look at it for you. Okay? Then I will let you know. I will correct it if it's correct, or I will let you know exactly why it told you were incorrect if you were incorrect.
Okay.
But you have to pay attention to detail. You have to really read the instructions on there.
Okay.
Okay, so is that polynomial division? The last thing on the test is going to be asymptotes. Okay. Make sure that, again, asymptotes is going to be in the same videos with polynomial division and the rational function videos. So if you watch those rational function videos, it will cover 5 and 6 here. Make sure to do that. There's a linear functions question that should be review, and just make sure you know how functions work. And that does it for my kind of spiel here on the outline of the test. If you will review these videos thoroughly, you will do fine on the test. And you have plenty of time. The test will be available starting Monday starting at around noon on Monday. I'll put it in the FCC Testing Center, and it will be available for an entire week, so until the following Monday. It will be available that next Monday, whatever the close of business is for the testing center. So did I inspire you guys to think of any questions?
I haven't gotten to the asymptotes yet in the videos.
Okay.
So it's been a while since most of the pre-cal I've done. So I'll have to go through that and look at that. Are there any things I should look out for?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
Is there anything I should look out for as far as trying to remember or keep in mind for the asymptotes?
Well, when you have asymptotes, and watch the video because they'll do a lot better job explaining than I can do right here. I'm kind of limited. But when you have a rational function like x plus 2 over 3x plus 5, the vertical asymptotes are found by setting. Here's where you get your vertical asymptotes. It's found by setting that denominator equal to 0. And the horizontal asymptotes are determined by the long-range behavior of this thing. How does this thing behave in the long term? And again, I want to ask that you watch the videos for that. And then if you have a question, just after you watch the video, just post it onto our site. Be like, hey, I was looking at this problem in the video, or looking at your explanation of how to find horizontal asymptotes, and here's my question. So that's going to be the best case for us right now. But the main thing that students make a mistake of is that just knowing very simply that the vertical asymptotes come from the denominator and the horizontal asymptotes come from the long-term behavior of the function.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Taylor, how about you?
The only thing I'm having a lot of trouble with is finding the domain and range for the inverse functions.
So you can. Let's talk about that for a second. So you've got a function. Let me erase here. You guys see me good?
Yep.
Okay. So you've got a function. You see that color? Maybe white's going to be best. Yeah, white's going to be best, huh? So you got a function. So in this function, f sends 1 to 5, f sends 2 to 6, and f sends 3 to 7. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the domain of this function? The domain are the inputs, the 1, 2, and 3. So 1 goes, you put in 1 and it puts out a 5. You put in a 2 and the function puts out a 6. Is that okay?
Yep.
And what's the range of this function?
5, 6, 7.
5, 6, 7. Now, if we were to look at the inverse, so we've got this function f, and now I want to talk about the inverse function. What's the domain of the inverse function?
5, 6, 7.
Yes, it is the range, because what the inverse does is it takes the outputs and sends them back home. It takes 5 and sends it back to 1. Takes 6, sends it back to 2. And takes 7 and sends it back to 3. Okay? And so now that was a simple function, but let's say we had a function like 3 over 2 plus x. What's the domain of this function? 3 over 2 plus x.
That's where I get confused.
So what you got to worry about, really right now, the only thing we worry about is we can't have zeros in the denominator. If I have 2 plus x down here, I can have everything, all x's I want, except any ones that's going to make a 0 in the denominator. So what would make that denominator 0?
-2.
Yep, x equals -2. And all you got to do is, so to find the domain for a rational function like this, you take the denominator, 2 plus x, and set it equal to 0. And x equals -2. That tells me that my domain equals, negative infinity to -2 union -2 to infinity. So that creates that hole there for -2. Okay? And now the range is hard to see. So to find the range, you go ahead and find the inverse of the function. Let me erase here so I've got some room. Let me find the inverse. To find the inverse, I will just simply say that. Trying to make sure I can. Okay, you guys see go to y equals 3 over 2 plus x. And I need to solve for x. I'm going to multiply out by 2 plus x and get y times 2 plus x equals 3. I need to get x by itself, so I've got, what would that be? X equals 3 over y minus 2. You guys agree with that? Divide out by 3, and then subtract 2, and I get x by itself. So that's my inverse function there. Would be f inverse of x equals 3 over x minus 2. Or I could say f inverse of y equals 3 over y minus 2. You guys with me there?
Yeah.
I may have went a little fast on the multiplication here, but that's okay. You guys can figure that out on solving this. Looking at this function here, what's the domain?
0.
0 is what can't be in the domain, so it's all numbers except 0. Because you put everything you want in there except a 0, right?
Yeah, so it'd be all real numbers?
Except for 0.
Okay.
So it would be like the same thing here, the domain of the inverse function. Let me say here, domain of f. Domain of f inverse equals -infinity to 0, union 0 to infinity. Okay? And now that you know that, you know what's the range of the original function?
The inverse of the domain.
It is the domain of the, yeah, so we know here our range is -infinity to 0, union 0 to infinity. And what is the range of the inverse function?
The domain.
It is the domain of f. The range of f equals -infinity, -2, union, -2 to infinity. And that was a good question because you have a question just like that on your test.
Great.
Of a function of this nature.
So is there nothing on exponents on the test?
Exponents is next unit.
Oh, thank goodness.
Any other questions, Samantha?
No, I think I'm okay.
Okay, so do me a favor, since you haven't watched that rational functions, watch that video and then let me know about your questions, okay? Make sure you watch the rational functions video and take note of asymptotes and polynomial division.
Okay.
Taylor, any questions that you have lingering?
Nope, I think I'm good now.
Awesome. Cool. Well, like I said, I'm going to post this video. I have another video I'll post that was a review from last semester or 2 semesters ago. I'll post that as well. You guys watch any of those videos that we talked about today and post any questions, and I'll try to help out as much as I can, and hopefully other students will try to answer some questions as well. I guess that's another thing I should address real quickly here. When it comes to answering your guys' questions on there, what I really want to encourage is you guys to be working together and answering each other's questions. So maybe after the first test, when we start Unit 2, what I like to do is start saying, okay, I will let questions sit for 24 hours. That is, after 24 hours, if one of your peers hasn't answered it, if there's no engagement going on, then I will answer the question. Okay? I just want to make that clear, that there's an expectation that you guys are working together, and I'm not answering all the questions, that you guys are helping each other. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. That being said, see you guys in our Google Plus community.
Bye.
Peace.